Hey everybody, Jim Sammons here, Kayak Fishing Show live. I'm really excited to get back to these. This will be our first interview like we used to do in the past. Kayak Fishing Show live, as always, brought to you by Ballast Point. And we're going to have a long fin logger today. Cheers, everyone. Happy Friday. Well, I guess I should put up the little tag there, brought to you by Ballast Point Brewing Company. Again, this is new software for me, so we may have a couple of hiccups. Actually, about a split second before we came live, my normal show mic stopped connecting, so I had to jump and use a different mic real quick. So live video, always doing different things. So a couple of things really quick that I want to share with you. Of course, this Sunday, we have the premieres of 2 episodes on WFN at 6:30. Our episode in the Bahamas, and that one with Jameson Redding, James Macbeth, Drew Ross, Jen Riddle from Dun Magazine. So a whole bunch of great guests on that one. And then on the Sportsman Channel at 2:30 p.m., we are in Brazil, so kayak fishing for peacock bass in the Amazon and all that. So super cool stuff. Another thing I want to announce here really quick is this one, our live show next week, and you're going to want to be involved in this one. I've got Jim McGowan from Ray Marine is going to be joining us. We're going to talk all about the new Ray Marine Element Fish Finder. And one lucky viewer is going to have the chance to win an Element Fish Finder of their choice, whether it's a 7, a 9, or a 12-inch. So if you want it for your kayak or for your boat or whatever, you'll have a chance to win one of those. Ray Marine's been a great supporter of our show, and we are super stoked to have them involved. Let me switch over here and look at some quick comments. Jesse says, can't wait to get a Blue Sky. Yes, Jess, it is beer 30. Hey, Andrew, how are you? Kevin, cheers, happy Friday. Ricky, when are we going to talk about putting this trip together? Ricky works with a group in Pago Pago, American Samoa, and we're talking to them about doing a shoot there, which I'm really excited about. So, Ricky, I sent you an email. Please reply. Jose from Spain. Hey, how are you doing, man? And Rafael from Sweden. I love the international audience. It is so cool. Jesse, love the Bahamas. Went there many times as a kid. Yeah, we've been a couple of times. We've generally had to deal with a bit of weather every time we go. But, I mean, that's the story of the Kayak Fishing Show. Harmony, how are you? I'm glad you're going to be watching the show. And Steve, happy Friday to you as well. And again, cheers to you all from San Diego on a drizzly, rainy day. So in these first 2 episodes, very cool. I got my good friend Jameson Redding is in both of these episodes. And in one of the episodes, oh, I'm sorry, he's not in the Brazil episode. I was thinking of the one that's the following week. But Jameson is in the first couple of episodes this season. Jameson is with, he's the brand manager of Blue Sky Boatworks, you know, part of Jackson Kayak. We have fished with Jameson a ton of times and always have a good time. So we're going to bring old Jameson up into the show.
What's up?
Jameson, how are you, man?
I'm doing good, man. You may have some background noise. I got my kids downstairs. As you can see, the stairs are just right there. So I don't want to like roll back too quick, but
yeah, don't do that. And I know you said your son was been a little bit sick, so
yeah,
he's doing okay.
Babysitting today, and he's doing better. Fever's down, not throwing up anymore.
So we got a lot of cool things we can talk about today with you. Oh, and a couple of listeners today or viewers today have the opportunity. We'll randomly select a couple. Are going to get the very cool, like this one, Orion tumblers. And if you don't have one of these things, you need one. If you like hot coffee for hours or cold drinks for hours, they are awesome.
Yes, sir.
So thanks for arranging that, Jameson. Actually, I did it, but
yeah, I'm gonna say Richard Howard probably had something to do with it.
yeah,
or Will Richardson.
yeah, we can actually thank Will Richardson, my videographer at times and longtime traveling companion. Now working with Jackson Kayak a lot more, and he's helping us out with that. Martin, how are you, man?
What's up, Martin?
Hey, Jameson. Again, because this is new software for me, are you seeing the comments when they pop up?
Yeah, I am for sure.
Okay. Are you seeing the comments before I pop them up?
No.
Okay. Again, this is all new software that we're using now, so just learning it myself. So I've got something I want to toss up here. And Jameson, what's that we got right there?
Well, that is the Angler 360 from Blue Sky Boatworks, but you took it to another level and put twin torpedoes on the back of it. And so you've been cruising around on that joker for a while now. It's pretty sweet, man, I have to admit.
Yeah, anybody who hasn't seen it, that's my Blue Sky. Again, I do have dual torpedo motors on it. It's awesome in a lot of respects. As far as performance, power, distance, all that, it's very cool.
Yeah, for sure.
As far as steering, it steers like a pig in mud.
Yeah, well, you got two motors locked in that rudder. I think when it gets that much water coming over it, it becomes hard to turn it.
Well, yeah, there's a couple of things that go on there. You're going so fast, there's so much water that it's hard to actually move the rudder. And the other thing is, I think because the motors are behind the rudder, you're not flowing water directly over the rudder, and it's just not, the boat's tracking really well.
Can you not
pretty much locked in?
Separate the controls and like
you can kind of separate the controls. You can reverse one forward the other, and that definitely helps. Yeah, it still doesn't turn great, but it is so much fun. It's definitely, I mean, I was excited about the Blue Skies when we first started talking about those things coming out, and it certainly hasn't disappointed. Igowitz, how are you, man?
What's up, man?
Igowitz is our good friend in Spain.
I haven't seen him in a minute.
yeah. If things work out right, I'm gonna get to fish with Igowitz in Portugal this year. So, like I said, the coolest thing about this job is so many good friends all over the world. Dustin, what's up, Jameson? Need to get y'all over to Texas for some of those grande speckled trout and some summertime kingfish. I would love to do that because I have never actually caught a kingfish. Not the kingfish your guy's talking about anyway.
I didn't know that.
No.
Yeah, that would be fun. The speckled trout in Texas are bigger, which I guess everything is technically bigger in Texas. At least that's the saying.
Diana says that just looks like you'll fall off. I'm assuming you're talking about my Blue Sky. No, that thing is insanely stable. But anyway, Jameson, we got a bunch of things we can cover here. You were just at the Kayak Bass Fishing National Championship. You were not participating. You were working cameras and helping guys out with their e-drives.
Yep.
So we can talk about the Blue Sky, the e-drive, the tournament itself. Big congratulations to the winner. I don't know him. And also big congratulations to Drew Gregory, who we do know, who was part of Jackson Kayak, who did come in second place aboard a Blue Sky.
That's right. Yeah, it was an awesome tournament. I think we actually had a live thing together last year right after I came back from the tournament. So the field was a little bit smaller, but it didn't as far as like last year, I think there was like 700 participants or more, and this year was like a little less than 5. But they still gave a ton of money away, which was crazy impressive. And the room was packed every night, 3-day event. And just consistency was, obviously what got these guys up into the money because, you know, you saw guys do well one day, but, you know, to be consistent for 3 days is impressive. And it's 5 fish each day. So there were some big fish put up. Drew was on the Blue Sky and stood in the seat the entire time that he was fishing from it. So that's
Drew is very good at standing there. Okay, he's been standing in the kayaks forever because I tried to stand in the seat of my Blue Sky. I jumped off immediately. I felt like I was going to fall over. I mean, I feel super stable on the boat itself, but standing up that high on that kind of wobbly post on that seat, no way.
Yeah,
no way. So, of course, Drew is not
more nimble than we are for sure.
Yeah, I got a little bit of height and quite a bit of weight on Drew, I think. So, let's see. There was a couple of questions here already. Nathan, he's a Kickstarter supporter for the Blue Sky. He saw his video yesterday using the new eDrive. When can we expect it to be sent out?
So we are very close, Nathan, on that. We're like literally, hopefully, just a few weeks away. We're still determining the power and battery and the best setup. The ones we actually had so we kind of stepping back a little bit to one of the things we did at the championship was we brought Joe Grez from the company that manufactures the Motorhead, came to the event and brought drives, and we basically gave them out to the team to kind of use during pre-fishing and then determine whether they wanted to use them during the tournament. All the guys did use them during the tournament, and everybody was pretty happy with it. We gave some feedback to him, and he was able to take those back and get to work right away on any of the little things that we were, you know, seeing as we really put some miles on them, because some of the guys were running, you know, 3 or 4 miles wide open to their spot fishing and then having to turn around and run that back in. And I will say most of the guys that put the eDrive on did not switch back to pedals. They were using the eDrive for that entire week, which is a testament to it being able to get them further and have more energy for fishing. So I think we're really, really close. They're actually pretty much all the parts are in production now. It's just a matter of getting everything fitted, getting the kits put together, and getting them out to the Kickstarter guys first.
Well, that's good. That's good. Yeah. I mean, I had the chance to use a prototype of it when you and I were in Louisiana, and it worked really well.
And it was 3D. The bottom was 3D printed on that one. So we've come a little way since then. So. Yeah,
but I mean, it worked great. I mean, my only issue with it was that I had to control it with my foot. Mm-hmm. That was the only thing that I mean, I would have loved to have had some kind of hand control for it, so I wasn't having to bend over. Probably not as big of an issue in a kayak where it's more right in front of you, but on the Blue Sky, having to bend over for it. But yeah, like I said, you literally got used to doing that and just controlling it, turning the knob with your foot.
Yeah. That's exactly what a couple of guys said. Once they got used to doing it with their foot, they actually were able to keep their hands on the rod and reel more. So I think that worked out pretty well. And we're definitely going to continue to look at ways to improve it as time goes on, and hopefully all those improvements or anything we might do to that would be backwards compatible. But yeah, for what it is, I mean, you know, it's a good price point. It's these guys on Kickstarter really got a great deal on it, getting in early. And I know it's been, you know, a while getting it delivered, but we're really trying to make sure it is the best it can possibly be before we put it out there. So I think
it just makes sense. You know, sure, I'm sorry if guys have to wait a little bit longer, but wouldn't you rather wait a little bit longer and get the product that has gone through the ringer, been fully tested, and is right, rather than sending it out too early? Because we've seen products get sent out too early.
And it happens. And problems occur that you don't even know are problems once you get several of them out in the field. But this is luckily a motor head that's been used in other applications on small outboard electric motors. So it's just a matter of, you know, getting it right for our boats and the right prop and the right battery and everything, you know. So I think we're really close. And it's, like I said, everybody seemed to be really happy with that. So
that's good. It's good. There's been a couple of things that people have commented on. I've commented on changes that could be addressed. And it looks like what I've seen, I mean, in the Blue Sky in general, it's still a work in progress. People, you know, you guys are still willing to make those changes that need to be made. That's
right. I mean, it's just like, I think anything else, you know, I think everything works well on it. I think there's some things that could be improved upon, and I think that's probably with everything. And as you and I and other people have spent a lot of time on the boat, you start to say, well, I wish this was this way or that way. And so getting to share those things, and hopefully most of those changes that happen, if there is something that changes, like in a model year change or something, that the improvements could be backwards compatible for the most part. And that's one of the goals, right? And also we're looking at coming out with some new, I know people have seen me run around with the outboard motor on the back, the electric torpedo motor on the back. So we're going to have, and again, this is another one that's taken us a while to get. It seems simple, but a motor mount for the back in production very, very soon. So if you just have like a regular trolling motor or transom mounted type motor, you'll be able to add that really easily. And then we partnered with Torqeedo Torqeedo and Trey from Innovative Sportsman developed a mount for the new Torqeedo mount that just came out, the new 403, so that it can actually utilize our steering. So you basically replace the rudder with their motor, and then you can use the steering right at the seat, much like the way you do yours, except for it actually turns the motor, and that will almost turn in place. So
that's exciting. I mean, as much as I like the way mine is set up, and people have said, it's pretty cool and all that, and it is. It's super fun. But I did it because I had two Torqeedos, and I just wanted to do something fun. If I was going into this and was going to buy something for it, I would definitely go with the single and set it up so it works with the steering.
Yeah, one of the things I've done is I've got the 1,000-watt motor, which is the tiller drive motor, but you can get that pylon or even take that pylon out of that motor and set it up on the mount. And I think there'll be some things coming out in the near future that you could utilize that 1,000-watt motor. The 403, which is, you have two of them on your boat, but I'm able to go roughly 5 miles per hour with just one of those. But with the 1,000-watt motor, I can get almost 6.5. Average is about 6.4 at full speed. So
I get 6.4 with
both.
The duals.
Yeah, so I mean, same thing. You've got two 500-watt motors, but you can do that with 1,000-watt motor. You're going to get about the same speed. So is what you're getting. So it's such a versatile platform. There's a lot of other things that we can come out with and do. And I know you were talking about Drew standing in the seat. I haven't done that, but when we were in Louisiana, I definitely stood on the cooler and was able to get a little higher vantage point.
Oh no, you had a huge advantage when we were in Louisiana. Yeah. Just that, I mean, you were 2.5 feet, 2 feet higher than I was.
Yeah.
And you were seeing fish way, I mean, you had the advantage that you're used to looking for redfish to begin with, but you also had that higher vantage point.
Yeah, and it is tricky. It is tricky because I know when I first started going red fishing with someone in a boat, when we were at the same height level, they would see fish that I would swear they were crazy until I saw it swim off. Of course, they're ready to wring my neck because I didn't cast at the fish that they pointed out. But, you just don't know what to look for and you learn. But, yeah, having that, I mean, just increasing by like a foot and a half, 2 feet, you're able to increase the distance away from the boat that you can see those fish. So it's definitely an advantage. And Drew said it was an advantage for him to be able to get up high like that and see the beds and stuff and be able to cast.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, well, for the bass, I'm sure. Yep. I'm sure. Let's see. We got Don Field says he's enjoying a Ballast Point Fathom IPA.
Don, it's been a minute.
Cheers, Don. Jesse says he's going to need an Orion cooler for the back porch so his kiddos can sit on it and fish with him. Yeah, the Orion coolers are great. I've got one coming for mine that's actually going to be the same color. It's going to be that sea foam. So that's going to look pretty cool. Also, I think with the kids, the seat back that attaches to the Orion, I think would be a really nice addition as well.
Yeah, my kids are yelling, so I had the mic turned off for a second.
But, yeah. No, I was talking about the seat back that attaches to the Orion cooler.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
I think if you're taking your kid out, that's a great way to do it.
I've seen some people do that, and we've even looked at some blank slate versions. I don't know what will come of it, but with using an Orion cooler and the seat back as the basic seat on the platform. So you could even pull the seat that's on there off if you wanted to do something like that with a tiller motor. But yeah, I mean, you can't beat that too, because you can take it off the boat, and then of course you got a cooler with a seat back wherever. The other thing I saw was really cool, and I can't remember where they bought it at, but someone had bought a small like kids chair and just basically set it on the back, and it fit perfect. And they just
I did see that someone had that. It was one of the girls on the team,
right? Yeah, they had that, and it was able to take their kids out. Because I mean, you guys have had two grown men on that thing when you guys are out there. I know Paul Leibowitz and you maybe were on there together, or Sean. I can't remember.
It was Sean and Paul Leibowitz, who are both big guys.
Yeah.
And,
so
I mean, carries the weight, no problem.
I mean, taking a kid is no problem whatsoever. So.
Jesse has another question. When I tested it last week, the only thing I noticed is the back of the seat slid on me, even though I had it tight. Anything I can do to keep this from happening?
So mine did the same thing, and we're hearing that a lot. So that is one of the improvements that we are working on making, is to kind of have that to where it will not do that. I will say that it almost, I don't know if you call it breaking in, but it's almost like the rubber becomes less slick. And eventually I was able to get mine to stop doing it. And that's what a couple of the other guys have said. So I think if you just, torque the crap out of it, and it'll stay for you. But look for an improvement on that you'd be able to maybe swap some parts out for in the future, for sure.
You know what I'd love to see on that, in that part, would be top loading track.
Yeah, that's one of the things I push for, because I know you and I both I've mounted cup holders there. I've mounted the throttle for my Torpedo there. So
right.
You can even mount, I know EJ actually had his Ray Marine mounted there at one point, right on the seat. So it would be a lot easier to access. Right now you have to like pull a bolt out, which isn't super hard, but you can't really do that when you're like on the water. You just have to
right.
And move on. But yeah, a way to get something in there would be great, and then having a way to kind of lock that seat in is definitely a couple of things we've talked about.
Yeah, like I said, there's always whenever there's a new product, there's always going to be little things, but there's not a lot of them. Like I said, it's such a fun boat to fish off of. And we've had it offshore. Did you see that video? I saw a guy posted a video about him actually punching through the surf.
I haven't seen that yet, but I need to find that, because
I think it was on the Blue Sky Boat Owners page group.
Okay. Yep.
I think it was on there, and I mean, he punches through some waves.
Yeah, and it isn't really the holes as much as that front porch. If the holes punch, then that front porch can take waves over it. And I've only seen that like a big bow wake or boat wake. And basically I was like motoring, and that thing came, and I let off, and of course the front kind of dove down as I let off, and water came across. Now nothing happened. It just like got water on top of it for a minute, and the water went right back away. So I really think, the platform will handle, it's more of being able to get your propulsion through the waves. Right. Is what, like in a kayak, you immediately have that paddle in your hands, and you can, punch through the waves like that. But I know with like pedal drives and things, you've got to be able to deploy that pedal drive and start making progression to keep that bow pointed into the wave. And I think as long as you're not turning sideways, you're really going to be able to push through, a decent wave without having too much trouble.
Right. Well, look at that video. The guy did pretty good. And there was actually a point where he was like, "Oh no," because he mistimed it, and the water just seemed to wash right over it. It did really well.
Yeah.
So I was pretty impressed. Made me feel a lot better, because I have not launched it through the surf yet. I've had it offshore, but I haven't actually launched it through the surf. Yeah. And I was really kind of curious about that. Blake Rutherford showing up late. How do you think the Blue Sky would do for near shore sight fishing, cobia, tarpon, etc.?
I think as long as you could get, again, like we were just talking about, if you can get it through the breakers safely, and once you're past that, it's going to handle chop, and it's going to handle things like that with no problem. It's just a matter of it's a big platform, and I don't know, I haven't personally done it, but if you got it sideways, I could imagine that, it's a lot of boat to to deal with if it was to get sideways on a big wave.
Yeah, your launches and your landings, you know, are going to be the question. But just like anything else, I mean, guys are taking those pro angler to the surf and adventure islands through the surf.
Yeah, I think you could, if adventure island, you know, I think it's just going to be your skill level of being able to get it through, and again, trying to get it under power, whether it's pedals or even like the e-drive or something, quick enough to punch through. Because I don't think you will be able to, in that situation when you really need quick forward progression, I don't know if you'll be able to paddle it fast enough to really punch through. So, but again, with the flex drive, and I did this in the Koosas, the Koosa FDs, you know, coming in or going out, typically in a pedal drive, I would pull my paddle out. But with these things, because it's so easy to deploy and even coming in, you're not really too worried about it, because once you hit the beach, it just folds up.
Right.
You can just keep pedaling pretty much the whole way. The only issue I had on those boats was if I was coming in and the wave lifted my stern or past the stern and lifted that rudder out of the water, then you lose like all steering capability without that paddle in your hand.
Yeah, keep your paddle in your hand.
Right. So,
keep your paddle in your hand for sure. Hey, Work, how you doing, man? Brandon Barton, how does Jameson get that beard to look so good?
Well,
I think that beard looks a little scraggly, needs a little trim, brother.
It's pretty rough right now. But typically, well, you blow dry it for one, Brandon. Yeah, the daily blow dry.
And product.
Well, you know, I don't use a lot unless we're going out. If we're going out, I should have doctored it up a little bit for the show. But yeah, I've got some conditioner that I put in.
That's all right. I don't have to kiss you.
Surprised anyone does at this point, but my wife seems to like it.
Dave Fowler, need a cooler here to keep stuff from freezing. I take it you're someplace cold, Dave?
Yeah, it's kind of the opposite of what most people use them for, but yeah.
Let's see. Roy Stewart says, I have the kids' chair.
There you go.
Awesome.
Yeah. You might be able to post a link or something up in the comments then, Royce, for everyone that's wondering.
Yeah, if you got a picture of it somewhere, my dog sits in the kid's chair too. I've got 4 dogs, but and haven't had them out yet. I'm sure my golden would be like spending most of his time jumping in the water rather than being on the boat. But it seems like it'd be a really cool boat for your dogs as well.
Yeah, it's easier for them to get back in. I've actually saw some people do that quite a bit, and it's low enough to the water that they're able to climb on and off of it pretty easy. So
yeah, and if you have to drag them up, like you said, it's not that high. Yeah. Reginald, how you doing, man? Mitch, how are you? Michael Garrow, how do the Orion Coolers compare to the Yetis or Arctic? I'll let you answer that one. I've got them. I've got several of them.
They're all at this point really, really good coolers. I can't say really anything negative about. I don't know a lot about Arctic, but I think they pretty much have modeled everything that they have right after Yeti. And Yeti's going to hold ice for a very long time. The key to any of these coolers is the pre-chill, and I know, Jim, you know about that, but basically icing it down, or even if you have access to a walk-in freezer, which not most people probably don't. But if there's a way to get it cold before you put your stuff in it, and then if your stuff is cold, you can really maximize the amount of time. I think the advantages that we have, we do have more insulation. So we have been tested to hold ice a bit longer in the same conditions when you're really comparing, when both have been pre-chilled and the same amount of ice and that kind of thing. So we hold ice pretty well. But the features of the Orion, I think, are what sets it apart. And that's the 4 corners being tie-down lock points and bottle openers. Having the gear track on the side, so it's easy to add that seat back or rod holders. And, when we were fishing in Louisiana, I had my rod holder mounted to the side of the cooler, which made it easy for me to be able to grab my rod and transition from paddle to my rod really quickly. You can put cup holders. There's like side tables and little mini bar setups. There's a cart. There's just a ton of different accessories that I think really set it apart. So it can become more than just something to keep beer cold or food cold for a long time. It can become a tool. And I use it on my skiff. I've got one on my skiff, and I move it from the seat position to a standing platform, and I've got the tie down points. And I actually put some Yakutech gear tracks on the side, on each side of my cooler, on the bow of my skiff, so that I could strap it down. So being able to do that and just move it around and have rod holders mounted to it and cup holders mounted to it, it becomes like something I can't really live without on a daily basis.
No. I mean, I use one on our boat, and it's the perfect size. And then I have one that I always have in my Sprinter, because, you know, if my wife and I are going to the grocery store, or going to Costco or whatever, I can put, you know, stuff in there, and they're just, you know, we can load it up and then stop for lunch or whatever, and, you know, it's still going to be cold there. I mean, for sure. They work really well. I mean, they're expensive for a cooler. You know, you got to justify it, but like I said, particularly for like you're talking about, you know, having as a standing platform, it's not like putting an igloo up there. No, they're so solid.
Somebody asked me at an event last year how strong it really was, so I parked my truck on top of it. And I'm still using that same cooler. So.
Oh, well, here's one. I mean, my our boat, my driveway is at an angle, so I have to jack the boat way up if we're going to be around any kind of rainy time, so water will flow off the back of the boat. Otherwise, it just pools in it. And to do that, I have to kind of lift it in stages and put blocks and all this underneath. And I use my cooler. I put the entire weight of that boat on that trailer on that cooler. Yeah. So then I can lift it up. I mean, they're just super, super solid. Oh, yeah. You know, an igloo would collapse.
Yeah. And again, all those, like the coolers he mentioned, are great. Like I said, I think those features are what sets us apart. And then the one thing I forgot to mention, which is pretty obvious, the colors. Like, come on, no one else has those colors.
Oh, that's very true. They are available in a lot of patterns, and they definitely look cooler than your straight up white cooler.
Right.
Where there was a couple here. Reginald, these would be great at Cedros or for those long range skiff trips. I think they'd be awesome at Cedros. I don't know that you'd be able to take one on a skiff trip. They're just so big. It would be hard to take one on a boat because it is 4 feet wide. It's going to be bigger than any of the other kayaks that might be on a mothership type trip.
Yeah, you have to break it down, unless he's talking about the coolers, in which case they would be awesome at both places.
Yeah, there you go. And they're certified bear proof.
Yeah.
I actually watched a video today that Damon had put out. You probably shot it.
No,
talking about the bear proofness on the cooler.
Yeah, actually, I think Will shot that one, believe. But yeah, the Bear Tech stuff is actually filmed by that organization, so they've got these, like, I think they're like problem bears that have been, you know, kind of removed from society, if you will, because that's what they do. They attack people's coolers, and so they've given them a place that they can live. But one of the things is that it becomes the testing facility. So they basically put fish or something inside the cooler and then tell the bears to have at it. And if they can break into it within an hour or so, or I don't know how many hours it is, then it doesn't pass. And that video, I'm sure Damon went over that, but it's more than just, hey, my cooler's tough. It's more about kind of deterring the bears from trying to, you know, integrate into the population. So it's like really more to keep them. I think it's a conservancy thing to keep the bears.
Yeah, that's what he was saying in that video. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah, and so
it's not about just protecting your food or whatever else. It's just keeping the interactions with humans and bears to a minimum. Therefore, they won't have to have putting down problem bears or anything else.
They'll stop thinking it's an easy meal if they can't get into anything. And a lot of places require that you have to have a certified bear-proof box or cooler to keep your food in. So
we got Serge from Ottawa. Is it still freezing up in Ottawa right now? Royce, are the sail kits available?
So that is something that we are still playing around with. it wasn't ever really an initial intention for it to be, but then it was like kind of after the fact, we were like, oh, this thing could have a sail kit for it. So there's not one that just exists out there that has worked right out of the box. So we've had to really play around with different sails and try to figure out, what works best. And we're still kind of in that phase, and, we'll think we're kind of there, and then we'll discover something else. So it's a lot of playing around. Hopefully that will become a thing sometime in the future, but
what about the Bimini? Is that
Bimini? Yeah, that's going to come out very soon. So we've got orders put in place for those. Obviously, we're not, we make plastic boats, so we've got that being sewn and made, and the frames being fabricated to fit the boat, and hopefully we'll have those very soon.
What about the party boat, the tri-hull?
That one too. That was another one. The frame on that one, we had to play around with some different options on how to basically make it, I say strong enough once you put it that wide and put two people on it. The prototypes we had seemed to work great.
Yeah, I imagine it'd be a little bit of flex this way.
Right, there was. And so, and the other thing was trying to also utilize the frames that we have now, and so that, we could get it to market, and we know that they're strong. So it was a matter of developing a way to connect them together in the best way possible. And we kind of went to the drawing board, if you will, a couple of times where we thought we had it, and then we discovered we could do it better. So again, it's just one of those things where trying to come out with the best product first, so we don't have to go backwards and change things.
Gotcha. Mitch, I love my 360, but haven't got it out of the ice. I don't remember it. One of the guys posted a picture of his Angler 360 like in his house.
I saw that. Yeah.
I'm like, wow, honey, look, I had to move the bed.
Yeah. Well, you could probably like drill a hole and then open the little compartment where the drive goes and just fish through the ice.
Yeah. Jesse, the bearded fishing crew. Looks like in his picture, he's got a bit of a beard there.
I had one before it was cool, right?
I've just got that. Mitch has a good question. Do you use a SUP paddle on your 360? That's what I use. I use but you need a long one because the boat is so wide again. And when we were in Louisiana, I mean, you did your actual kayak paddle was longer than my SUP paddle,
right? And that's
which
why
worked out okay for when you were standing on that cooler.
So exactly, if you're just standing on the platform, I think a longer SUP paddle is plenty. But when I move up to the cooler, I found myself really having to reach down to get to the water. So I actually had a paddle that would extend out. I think it goes out to like 255 or something like that. So that, and you could even get 260 kayak paddles, which are going to be quite a bit longer than your longest SUP paddle. So if you're looking to stand on the cooler, then you may want to look at, just a longer kayak paddle, which will work fine for that. But if you're not, if you're just going to be standing on a platform, the SUP paddle moves the thing really well, especially once you get to a place and you want to stand up and sight fish or just kind of move slowly. Drew actually had a bow-mounted trolling motor on his with foot control and the remote control and, spot lock and, everything. And he was really liking that as well. So there's a lot of different ways to there's so many rigging options. I mean, I've got mine all rigged. People can look on the page. I've got several videos up. I actually did an entire walkthrough video and got home and realized that the battery in my mic had died. So I got nothing. So now I have to just put subtitles at the bottom.
Yeah, I'm going to have to reshoot the whole thing. But there's a lot of different ways to rig it as far as how you can put your electronics. I've seen guys who put their fish finder up on the gear track next to the pedals.
That's where I actually put mine as well, up there.
Yeah, I put mine up on a lock and load fish finder mount from Yak Attack, and it's on that railing on the side, so it's right next to my seat. I can reach down and hit it, and so that makes it really convenient. Still got to figure out how maybe I can put a bait tank on it. Probably if I would put that in front or back, and then the cooler in front and back, just kind of depending. So there's a lot of different rigging options on them that make them fun. Like I said, one of the coolest things for me, the very first time we used that boat, Sean White was actually the first one on it. And I'm sitting there watching. I was actually on the camera boat. And he casts, and then he swivels and casts, and then he swivels and casts. It's like, when you're used to being in a kayak and having to do the old backhand sideways cast or turn the boat around or anything, it's like, oh yeah, you immediately get it. You get why it's so cool.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. I tell people, even from a filming standpoint, because obviously I'm a fisherman, but I do a lot of filming as well. And it's the same thing when you're trying to get a picture or a video of someone and they're behind you, and then you've got to take the paddle in one hand and move the boat like this, and then pick the camera up and the boat's turning, and then you're trying to stay with the person. So now you can just move. It doesn't matter which way the boat's positioned.
Yeah, you can follow someone with a camera and just pivot your seat. It's such a fun platform. Sean Russell, how you doing, man? Thanks for joining us here. Alex has a good question, and quite honestly, this is kind of a no-brainer. But yes, can you throw a cast net from it, or cast net from it? If you know how.
I can throw a little one, like a little cast net from it, but I can't throw a cast net. So.
Yeah, we're not even allowed to throw them here in California. So I've never learned how to throw one. But yes, I mean, these things, just so you understand how stable it is, you can literally stand on one pontoon. So you can stand completely on one side of this boat. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't lift at all. It doesn't shift. It is that stable. So you could stand on that front porch in front of your pedals and throw it from there. Yep. Or you could do it from a seated position, spin sideways and throw it. It's that stable. I think anybody who knows how to throw one would be able to throw one.
Yeah, you wouldn't have any trouble at all throwing a cast net. Like I say, I could throw like a 6-footer. And I could do that no problem. And I know people could throw 9-footers from that, no problem.
Royce posted a link.
I was probably to the seat.
To that seat. Yeah, okay.
Awesome.
And that's the same question. He posted the same question up again there, and I'm just scrolling through these here. Let's see. When is the Kayak Fishing Show film crew going to make it over to Maryland for Northern Snakehead? Well, I will tell you the same thing I tell everybody who suggests a location. Send me a proposal. Send me a proposal, help put the shoot together, help us handle logistics. We can, potentially make it happen. I often get people say, hey, why don't you come here, and then offer no assistance to make it happen. And I'm not on location. It's very difficult for us to do. So if people have ideas for shoots and want to be a part of a shoot, help us put it together, and we'll look into it, see if it makes sense for our shooting schedule. But we're always looking for ideas.
Yeah.
And snakehead are a cool fish to catch. I've only done it once.
I've never caught a snakehead. I know guys love it and say they're ferocious. So
they're ferocious on the top water, and they fight hard, just blow up. I only fished for them the one time, fishing with the old Chris Funk.
And those are actually bowfin, so they're actually a different species. Because you guys were in the swamp, right?
They were snakehead.
No, those are. Or you were in the swamp, right? The Okefenokee? Yeah, those are bowfin. So they look identical. Or
right.
Similar. I know snakehead guys are like, no, they don't look identical. They have a similar body shape, different colors. But yeah, so the snakehead I think are more northern, and the bowfin are more southern fish. But the snakehead are supposed to be even more aggressive than those, and they say they're really good to eat too. But have to ask Jeff Little. Jeff Little knows what's up.
Here's another one. When are you going to come down to Pensacola and have a Brandon Barton try to get your arms pulled off?
Oh yeah, Brandon's on those giant tarpon down there.
Oh really?
Yeah, Brandon has figured out how to catch those big tarpon in Pensacola when they come through. And of course, I lived there for like 7 years before, And I don't even think I realized there were tarpon there the whole time I lived there. And then I go back and visit Pensacola because I've got family that live. My wife's family all lives in Pensacola, and Brandon kills me with him and Matthew Van, and when Marty Mood used to live there, and all those guys. They just wax just monster tarpon off the beach.
I tell people, man, if we had tarpon here in San Diego, I would fish for those darn things every day. They are such an exciting fish.
They don't like me, apparently. Every time I get one hooked, something happens.
Well, Florida doesn't like me. So, speaking of Florida, Jameson, we are supposed to be at the Guy Harvey Resort in St. Augustine, the middle of May.
Yep.
We still need to iron out a couple of things, but we're supposed to be there, and we'll be doing, actually, if it all pulls together, we'll be doing a seminar. So look for information about that, because we're going to be shooting the show there, and then we'll do like a cocktail hour platform or seminar session, question and answer, whatever. So we'll have us and a couple of guys from the Jackson Kayak crew,
including Bart Swab,
who's guides in that area. So it'll be a great resource for anybody who's in that area, wants to come talk kayak fishing and just swap stories with us. So we'll be posting up more information on that as soon as things get confirmed. But right now, that's like, I want to say May 18th.
Yep, May 18th, Saturday night is what they're looking at. And I think they're calling it the Guy Harvey Kayak Fishing Academy. So
okay, yeah, it's at the Guy Harvey Resort.
Yep. It's a really nice resort too, brand new. I actually went down and met Bart, and we went over and had dinner there, and it's just a beautiful resort on the beach.
Cool. The people that I've been talking to have been amazing.
Yeah.
Super, super nice. And so I'm hoping it does come together. Like I said, we just have to iron out a couple of things. So my fingers are crossed. Jesse, making a bimini for the angler or just the escape?
So it'll fit either one. And the nice thing about it is, because the way it attaches, it just uses the rails that are there and the place in the front where it clips. Those attachment points are on both the escape and the angler, so it's very simple. There's no drilling involved. It just goes right on the gear tracks and attaches to the existing hardware. Fishing from it, I would imagine if you had the bimini up while trying to make casts, it would probably be a little difficult. But if you were out, setting some rods out, just kind of bait fishing or whatever, it'd be an awesome way. Or just on your way to and from the spot. Nice thing is it unclips and it'll just fold down, just like a bimini on a boat or whatever. So it's going to be universal.
So Mitch, it was Mitch that is. Blue Sky is in his basement, but it looks like it's in his bedroom. There's a mattress leaning against the wall. That's why I made the comment. I had to move the bed. What's this? Will a 260 paddle work for the angler? I've got yeah, that should be plenty. I think mine is not even that long, and I use it now. Again, I'm using it when I'm standing up. I very rarely paddle it like I would a kayak, as far as like just going back and forth. I'm typically going to stand up and use it like a stand-up paddleboard paddle, but I like having that extra length when I need it. Yeah, if you're going to be standing on the cooler, definitely you want to go to that longer paddle. If not, comfort-wise, paddling with a stand-up paddle is much more comfortable in your hand. So if you're going to be doing it just from the deck, just try to find and I wish I remembered the length, but I've got the longest Warner stand-up paddle that they have, and it worked great. Mm-hmm. Let's see if there's any more questions here. Tim says, I'm 320 and walk all over the deck. I throw up to a 7-footer from it.
Cast net.
A cast net, okay. Yep. That's cool, man. Yeah, like I said, it's definitely like what I've told people about the, kind of your impressions of it. And we don't call it a kayak, although sometimes you accidentally do just because we've been in the kayak business for so long. It's not a kayak. It's just a vessel to get you out on the water, but it's a super fun one. And maybe it's going to get some people out on the water who wouldn't have gotten on a kayak, who weren't comfortable sitting in that smaller, narrower boat, sitting down so low. But for me, the bad back that I have, basically, I've said this before as well, is, most of the pedal type craft, I haven't been able to do because of the position of your feet in relation to your back. It was very uncomfortable for me. And when I jumped on the Blue Sky, I could pedal it. I could pedal it all day. It was because it's a little bit more comfortable ergonomic position for me.
Yeah.
So again, those people who were thinking, man, I could never get in a kayak, or, this isn't a kayak, it's a different vessel, and you really ought to get out and try one. If you have a shop that, maybe can do a demo for you. I think we'll be doing a demo here in San Diego with OEX on April 14th at Day at the Docks. And just get on one and try it, because they're so fun.
Yeah, it's I know when we were fishing in Louisiana, and I think that episode comes out next week. Is that right? This next week?
Yeah,
episode?
yeah, and it comes out actually. Yeah, on the 14th.
Yeah, so on the 14th, the episode, Jim and I are fishing at Pointe Kayak Rentals, and love that place. But we were fishing in some kind of tough conditions with wind, and I don't know that I would have pushed through it if we were in a kayak. But the combination of being on that boat, having a power pole was a big thing, and having motors. You had the E-Drive, I had the Torpedo on the back. But that combination allowed us to fish conditions that were, howling winds and higher water and rougher water, and even sit, typically in a kayak, I'm looking for that protected bank that's on the lee side of any wind that's coming. And sometimes that's not where the fish are. I mean, quite frankly, they move to the wind-blown bank where bait and water's getting pushed to them, so they're getting fresh stuff coming by constantly. And we were able to fish that bank, and that's where we caught a lot of fish in that first episode from down there, was on those wind-blown banks, where we were just throwing some kind of moving, vibrating bait down through there. And I think both of us made the comment several times, we wouldn't have been able to do it without the motors and the power pole.
No, for sure. Yeah, no, the power pole, and it's so easy to mount the power pole on there as well.
Yeah, for sure. You can have two, if you're real sparky. You can put two power poles on, which will keep you from spinning. I know in that you were actually like nosing up into the grass and dropping your power pole, but you drop two power poles and you're not going to spin at all, and you can actually point in the right direction.
Here's that preview. Little preview of us buzzing around on them in Louisiana. There's that big Torpedo you had. Again, you had the big Torpedo. I had the E-Drive.
Yep.
And it was windy. I mean, you can never tell.
Well, you can see the grass back there. It's like laying over pretty good, but yeah.
Yeah, we had. I think we had 4 hours of no wind on the trip. It was the last day. We had rain. We had insanely high water. Mm-hmm. I mean, my wheels in that rental car were halfway covered with water in the parking lot.
I think it's been long enough now. You can say that you flooded the rental car.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the whole parking lot. Yeah, we had to park on higher ground, and we were staying on that houseboat, and it was literally, normally you step down to get onto the houseboat from the dock, and we were stepping off the houseboat. And at one point I walked around and picked up shrimp that were laying in the parking lot from
right,
and we cooked them. So it was it got deep for sure. But
we'll drop that out of there. Is the Kayak Fishing Show coming back up to Vancouver Island? Yes, we are. We're going to be up there in August. Really excited about getting back up there. It's such a beautiful place up there. Jesse, St. Augustine, 25 minutes away from me. I hope it can come to you guys. Yeah, man, I hope you can come. If like I said, pay attention to the page, and we'll post up if that all gets nailed down. But it should be. I'm pretty, what Scott's saying, I was pretty excited that the Blue Sky pulls so well. Are you talking about a push pole?
Yeah, Scott's down in Louisiana, so
Oh, okay.
He actually may be joining us in Florida on that shoot. I'm trying to confirm from him right now, and he's trying to confirm with everything. But yeah, he's, you know, that was the other thing, that if you are shallow, I mean, it's very common in your shallow water, saltwater fishing inshore to push pole, because it's pretty quiet, and you're basically just getting in contact with the bottom. And that's one thing I haven't tried. I mean, that's how I move my skiff around, but I haven't tried that on the Blue Sky yet. And I do have a shorter, like 12-foot push pole, so I should give that a go. So good to know, Scott, that it pulls well. Which, I mean, I imagine it would track. I mean, the big thing there is, you know, tracking. And with two holes parallel each other in the water, I mean, tracking is not typically an issue with a catamaran style boat. So
yeah, I said it's. Well, I mean, I was almost push pulling it at times when I was using my stand-up paddle, and we were in skinny water. Too skinny to pedal for sure.
Oh yeah,
and it worked really well when we were in Louisiana, when the water did finally start to recede for us. Oh, you know, speaking of, I mean, I just showed that video, and that was at Pack Kayak Rental.
Yep.
I know that's a place that's near and dear to your heart, and I would love to get back there. What's that?
I said one of my favorite places on the planet, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, what a great fishery with so many. I mean, even in tough conditions, we caught plenty of fish, and the fish that we were catching off the back of the boat at night, all the trout, all the reds. I mean, again, super fun fishery there.
Yeah, it's really cool. And I mean, Louisiana is really, truly a sportsman's paradise when it comes to fishing. I mean, you've been several times, but even when we went, and we had those great tuna fishing days, and then rain came in, and kind of the same thing. We were able to kind of pull a rabbit out of the hat, where if we were in another area and we were dealing with rainstorms and wind, it would have been a lot harder and tougher to get an episode of fishing. But down there, even when it's rough conditions, you can still somehow, you know, find reds. You know, they're there. They may not be the size you're looking for or the quantity you're looking for, but if you fish all day, you're probably going to catch one.
Yeah, just having you know, for that, it's just, you know, having the right vessel. The Blue Sky is perfect for it, I thought. Any of the other kayaks that you can at least stand up in. Because there were times you were looking over scrub into a little pocket and you could see the fish in there. You know, I actually cast over the top of it and caught fish that way, and then have to pull them through the grass. Super important to have that boat that you can stand up in, and a power pole is so valuable if you're dealing with that in any kind of windy type stuff. Even a light breeze in a kayak, once you stand up, it catches your body and pushes you out of position. Right. So having that power pole makes a huge difference.
Even when I would hook a fish, you know, being able to just drop it and not, you know, get blown over the flat and spook everything else that I haven't even fished yet. You know,
right. We were doing that in Belize. Basically, you would drift along until you saw fish, because the wind was so strong. So you're just standing up and getting pushed by the wind, and hopefully you saw the fish in time before you blew over them. But if you saw them, just, you know, hit the remote control on the power pole and drop it down, and then you can make your cast before you blew over them. Scott said, sorry, I meant paddle pole. I use the paddle like a push pole all the time. Super quiet. I just thought it was really amazing how quick it was when paddling standing up. I hate slow boats while standing. I hate slow boats in general. And yeah, like you said, I mean, I've got some pictures of myself using the stand-up paddleboard paddle out off Point Loma. And yeah, I mean, once you kind of got the feel for that wide boat and stand-up paddling, the boat just scoots along. Jameson, it's been an hour.
It goes by quick.
Man, it flew by. You know, thanks everybody for all the questions. I really do appreciate it.
Sure.
You know, it just makes these shows go by so much better. Jameson, really appreciate you coming on here as always. Everybody who views it, you know, came and watched it. I really appreciate everybody who came and had those questions and sat through this. And, you know, if you do watch it on a replay later on, you know, type in there that you watched it on a replay. We love to know who's watching it, you know, live versus on a recording. And again, we're back to this on a weekly basis. Again, 2 new episodes of the show airing this Sunday on the World Fishing Network and on the Sportsman's Channel. And then next Friday, you know, put this on your calendar. Next Friday, we're going to be doing another live show. Same time, we will have Jim McGowan from Ray Marine on with us, and you will have a chance to win a new Ray Marine Element fish finder. And those
Do you have one of those yet? Do you have an Element?
I don't. I've actually got a couple of Axioms.
That's what I'm using, the Axiom.
The Axioms are networkable, where the Element is not networkable. And so they always send me the ones that I can network. That way, if I want to rotate it up onto our boat,
right.
You know, the units will work together. But for the small boat fisherman, the kayak fisherman who's going to have one unit, less cable, smaller cable, because if you've seen the cable for the transducer for the Axiom, I mean, it's this big around, and it's about 50 feet of it. So, I mean, that's just a lot of excess weight. So they are sending me an Element to put on my Blue Sky, a 9-incher. Nice. And they're going to send me a 7-incher to put on my Kraken. And that will also be my portable unit when I travel. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to the Element, just because of the transducer being a little bit smaller. Just all in all, just a better fit, I think, for the kayak and small boat angler. So we're gonna sign off here. I will be picking randomly a couple of people to win your Orion tumblers. And again, thanks to Jackson Kayak, Blue Sky, Orion, all that for helping us out with that. And I will post that up later on. Jameson, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. I'll drop you out.
Thanks for having me.
Say goodbye, Jameson.
Goodbye, Jameson.
Everybody, once again, thank you so much for joining us here at the Kayak Fishing Show live. If you are going out on the water, please always wear your PFD and keep your paddle right side up. Take care.